2, 3. Can you hear me? Great.
Okay.
Dave.
It's nice than being in the cold,
Dave.
huh?
It is.
You want to stay with the same frame size, right?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, guys. Ready.
Okay. Crossing.
Okay, Wayne, can you just shift your chair just a tiny...
Sure. How's that?
Oh, perfect, perfect,
Okay.
perfect.
Okay, so we good?
We are good.
All right. David.
We're rolling.
David? David, why don't we take it from where Wayne was talking about the shift? We can just continue from there.
Sounds good to me.
Okay, this shift, this movement from ambition to meaning, from the morning to the afternoon of your life, generally it's preceded by what we call a quantum moment. Sounds strange, perhaps, to use a term like that, but quantum moment really refers to the characteristics of what it is like when you have what Maslow called a peak experience. The first of these qualities, there's 4 of them. The first of them is that it's very vivid. The second quality or characteristic of these quantum moments is that it's a surprise. And the third characteristic of these quantum moments is that they are benevolent. They always feel good. The fourth and final quality is that it's enduring. That is, it isn't just something that comes and then goes and it's out the window. It lasts with you forever. For example, I left drinking behind in my life 21 years ago. And I couldn't even imagine that I could have given it up because I'd always had 2 or 3 beers every single day for the previous 10, 15, 20 years. I couldn't even remember a day when I hadn't. And I knew that I had to make that change. And it was 4:05 a.m. in the morning. I could remember the clock when it turned. I woke up, and there was like a breeze in the room, something that I've never experienced before. The smell of roses. This was 21 years ago now. I can tell you what was hanging on the closet, the hook that I had there. On the mirror there, I had a cartoon that I had there. I can still see that thing exactly as if it happened this morning. The vividness of this is something that I've never, ever been able to forget. I can remember how surprised I was at what was happening at that time. It was almost as if some kind of force had taken over, and I was just amazed by it.
So if you're lucky this happens to you?
David, it has nothing to do with luck. It's like when the moment is right, when you are in a different state, in a different place in your life, exactly what is supposed to happen will happen for you. The low points in your own life, these times when you think that nothing could go any worse, oftentimes are the things that we need to propel ourselves to a higher place. Let me give you an example. The night before that moment that I just described to you, I had taken my entire family, 5 children, and my wife, and we had all gone to this restaurant. And like I always did, every single time I went to a restaurant, I ordered not just 1 beer, but 2. And that was so that in case the waiter wasn't there when I wanted my second one, I would be able to have it. And the waiter said to me, "Oh, excuse me, sir." He said, "I'm sorry, but I can't serve you alcohol." And I said, "Why?" He said, "Well, last night one of our waiters served someone who was underage, and we had our license suspended." I said, "Come on, we're getting out of here." And I made each one of my children get up, get back into the car, strapped into their car seats and so on. My wife, who, God knows, had so much to do, and it was such a hardship for her. But it didn't seem to matter to me at that time because I wanted to have my beers, and I was making myself more important than everyone else. And we drove off and went to another restaurant. And I can remember thinking that night as I went to sleep how ashamed I was. My wife tried to talk to me a little bit about it, but I would have none of it. I was right, and that's just what the ego always makes you. It makes you right. And that night, that experience that I had at 4:05 a.m. the next day, not only did it get me off of alcohol, it probably saved my life. It transformed my life in so many different ways. And it was all because I was open to it. You don't believe that?
It sounds like more sitting around until some sort of epiphany comes to you.
It's not about waiting around. You know, in the Tao, one of the great lessons that I learned is that it teaches us how to be soft, how to be flexible, how to not be always in control One of the great teachings of the Tao says that let yourself be lived by it.
But you didn't do anything.
That's the whole point. That's the place you want to get to, where you just allow. In the recovery movement, it's called letting go and letting God. Allowing this source that is always flowing through each and every one of us to do and perform its magic. And that magic will always work in our best interest if we just surrender to it. If you could just stop interfering in your own life and just let yourself be done. If you can get to that place, nothing will be left undone. Everything that you need will be there for you. It's mysterious for most of us because we believe that we're the ones who have to do everything. Isn't it interesting that you had everything you needed in the first 9 months? Why isn't that true for the next 90 years? Because we interfere. When I was 19 years old, I was in the United States Navy and as an enlisted man. And I was given my assignment to join the aircraft carrier, the USS Ranger. And it was on deployment in Yokosuka, Japan. So I boarded a refrigerator ship, the USS Vega, in Alameda, California. And just as I was getting on that ship to take my 29-day voyage across the Pacific Ocean, my Uncle Bill Volek, who was a school teacher in Hayward, California, handed me a copy of a book. And the book was a collection of short stories written by Leo Tolstoy. He wrote not just great novels and great stories, but great spiritual literature as well. He was considered to be the soul of Russia. And the first story in this collection was called The Death of Ivan Ilyich. Now, Ivan Ilyich was a judge who lived in Moscow. One of the more important features of this story is his relationship to his wife, who he basically hated because he despised his work. And he felt that she had pressured him and pushed him into doing this, that it was a prestigious thing to do. And he was filled with internal rage and anger at what he had done. The title of the story kind of gives it away, The Death of Ivan Ilyich. You know he's going to die. Now, Ivan Ilyich was lying on his deathbed, and his wife is holding his hand, this woman that basically he despised for all of his life. And he looks up into her eyes, and his last words are, "What if my whole life has been wrong?" And he died. I was very shaken and very moved by that. And I took out a pad of paper and I wrote a note to myself. And I said, "Dear Wayne, don't die with your music still in you." And I've lived that for my entire life. When you die, you will return to that source and you will be in that space of love. But the Tao says that you don't have to die to get there. You can die to the ego and live from that space of perfect love while you're here. That vivid, surprising, benevolent, enduring quality that defines the quantum moment that leads us into the shift is really an indication that you're returning back to the source. You're beginning to live from the Tao. It's reconnecting with the field of intention. In Greek, the word enthusiasm breaks down to entheos-iasm, which means the God within. When you have passion, when you have enthusiasm for something inside of you, that's really God speaking to you and saying to you, don't get to the end of your life and have to be able to say what Ivan Ilyich said, "What if my whole life has been wrong?" I can't think of a greater tragedy than that.
Hey, Mom!
What? What is it?
Earth to Mom, where'd you go?
I'm sorry. It's just... It's so beautiful. I was imagining how I'd paint these trees.
You don't put paint on trees.
Oh, no, honey. It's, like make a painting of it. You know, like you make a picture in school?
Mom, you're not a painter. I haven't seen you paint anything.
All right. Next one to that rock up there. Wiz, go! Go! Let's go get him. Let's go get him. Go, Wiz, come on! What did you do? I'm losing.
Hey, here's some money. God bless you.
What?
I said, God bless you.
Why would you say that? I didn't even give you any money.
You got any money?
Not at the moment. What, do you? Need to call a cab.
Hey, here you go. This should help you.
Thanks. Wouldn't happen to have a cell phone in there, would you?
I don't need one.
You make money with that stuff?
I make good money.
Where do you live?
Over there. Over there. But my favorite place is there. Under that tree. That's my favorite. I know that tree. We're friends.
It's a good one, huh?
You know what you gotta do? You get some of these bottles, and you can make some money. There's a machine down there. You put the bottles in, and you make some money.
Thanks. Maybe I can save up for a cell phone.
Hey. Do you have some money?
I do. I have 6 pennies.
God bless you.
Synchronicities. It's like a collaboration with fate. All of that becomes the norm, and the ego